What's going on, guys? Jurassic here. Today we're back to Star Citizen. This video is going to feature a tutorial for the new players just finally able to purchase their first Vulture. Alright, so as soon as you get to the landing pad in HUR L5, this is where the fleet manager is, you want to come straight and then take an immediate right and run down the hallway here. And then as soon as you get to this area, you take another right. This is going to get you to the elevators going to the Galleria. We are going to be able to buy 3 different upgrades here for the Vulture. Now the Brer heads aren't technically needed. The cinch heads on it that come stock technically harvest more than what we're about to upgrade, but these have a wider beam, so it makes it feel like you're doing more work much faster, and a lot of people prefer to have them on your ship. So you want to head over to Platinum Bay. It's literally just running directly up the stairs. Click on Use Terminal, and then all you got to do is type in AB. You want to buy 2 of these, so you're going to need 2.4 thousand to buy the 2 different scrapers. And then you also want to buy an Atlas quantum drive. This one technically is not needed, however it is going to make your life much easier, so this is going to be 17,000. All right, so once you're inside the fleet manager, you click on store, and you notice it's going to be HUR L5 high core station. This is the exact station that we are to buy our upgrades. All right, so as long as it says retrieve, you're good to go. Click on F11. Then you want to head over to the vehicle tab. Select the Vulture. And this is where you're going to want to have your Brer set up at. So in the sub item slot, you're going to click unequip for the cinch and put on the braid head. And once again, for the third one, you want to unequip and equip the braid head. So literally all you do is do that. Then you're able to swap between the 2 different modules. It should come stock looking like this. So it'll say 3 cinch initially. But now it's going to just have it so we have a Brers instead. And to swap your quantum drive, that'll be over inside of the systems tab. And once again, we want to install the Atlas here. So it'll come with the Goliath. All you got to do is click unequip, swap in the Atlas, and all you have to do is then click save and you are good to go. And your Vulture has been fully upgraded. You don't need to upgrade your weapons or anything on the Vulture. Everything's fine stock.
Retrieval system.
All right, so now that we retrieve this, we head down to whatever hangar it shows us. So for example, it is hangar 2. Now I will say the only thing that this station is lacking is it does not have a place to buy a multi-tool. Now for me personally, I find it better in the L1 to L2A asteroid belts compared to the L5, so I'm going to be heading over here immediately. By the way, just a little bit of an extra thing in case you don't have a multi-tool, at HUR L1 they do have another station here. So once again, you go from the fleet manager, you just run directly straight, then left to get to the elevators, and you want to head down to the refinery room, which is where you're going to be able to get your multi-tool. So after exiting the elevator, you see where it says refinery. Now you just go directly down the stairs, and you'll follow the little yellow signs here. And where it says service, you take a right. And you want to head over to the terminals on the wall here. Or you can also buy them off the shelf. And you just type in multi. So you want to buy 1 of these. And you want a tractor beam attachment. So that'd be 320. Honestly, they're not very expensive at all. You can also run over to them directly and hold F to purchase it like this. Now we're able to fully use our Vulture for what we intended to do today. All right, so once you get out of here, you do want to swap over to SCM scan. Depending on your settings, it'll either be your middle mouse button clicking it to go to it, or you might have it in your key bindings to click V to swap to SCM scan. You want to use your scroll wheel to scroll up to 50% piercing. This is going to get you the widest range to be able to find the asteroids that we're looking for. So then you just click tab to search, and you'll notice that there's going to be unknown piles. So that is a 1900, so that's going to be a asteroid. You're looking for 2,000, 4,000, 6,000, 8,000, or 10,000. Sometimes they'll spawn on top of each other, so you might get lucky with a double or triple one. All right, so as you guys can see, we have an RSI signature of 10,000. All right, so as you guys see, we have an RSI signature of 10,000. So what you want to do is line up your white dot in the middle of the screen and slowly start approaching your target. And whenever you get close enough, it is going to disappear and split up into several sub targets here. So just continually ping it in, that way it stays in the area, and you'll notice that it's going to blink away. you want to have your little white dot set directly onto one of them and just slowly inch forward. You're going to notice your signal is going to increase. So as you get closer, you may need to do a few micro adjustments to make sure it's still in the same spot, and it's going to completely disappear unless you click tab again. So just keep on clicking tab whenever it disappears. Your signal will get higher as soon as you get closer to it. Once you get to about 80 to 90, you want to let off the throttle, that way you don't accidentally crash into the panels. All right, so now we're at 90. All you have to do is bump the W key and you'll notice that it's slowly going to inch forward here. We're going to have a large panel to start out with here. You can hold Q and E to rotate your vulture. All right, so as long as you equip your new heads, whenever you go into combat mode, so hold B. All right, so as long as you're in the SCM scan mode, you can hold M, and it's going to swap over to salvaging. You're going to notice that we have the two abrade scrapers at the top. If you click the right click, you're going to swap over to your other heads, which is going to be the tractor beam module and the cinch module. So you want to start with this. And this guy, you can hold left alt and scroll wheel to bring it in closer here. You're going to notice that the blue is going to get much closer to us. You don't want to be like completely touching, but the closer you are, the faster you're going to harvest. So once you're satisfied with it, click that. Now, the easiest way that I found is if you click the G key, it's going to swap over to gimbal mode. And now, whenever you're harvesting, your lasers are going to be able to move along the panel here. If you're trying to see it a little bit better, you can click L for light. That way you can fully see the panel better. However, it is going to make it a lot easier for people to see what you're doing inside the game. And as you guys can see here, the goal here is going to be to fill up our SCU containers here. And I'm also going to show you guys the most optimal way to fill up your vulture. This should take you about an hour or less to fill it up, depending on if you get lucky finding a bunch of large panels or not. And you should yield about 500k, if not a little bit more. If you don't have your first 2.6 million, the best way to make that is going to be to haul a bunch of cargo. So for example, you could haul barrel or you could haul gold. Gold is going to give you a higher yield for a ship with a smaller cargo space. So for example, you might want to save up to rent your first freelancer. That way you're able to get, I believe it's 63 SCU. And you should be able just to do that for a couple hours to be able to earn enough money to afford a vulture. Or you can tag along with some friends and maybe find people in the comment section down below to be able to rent their vulture or just play with them. That way you're able to earn your first 2.6 million and get your foot off the ground inside of Star Citizen. You can also hold left alt and scroll wheel to spread your beams across if you want like a little bit wider pattern. I typically go with a closer range as it seems to work more efficiently. However, you can spread it out completely. That way you do a wide area at a short amount of time. Now, this is mainly for the large panels, but you are going to have to rotate it around to get to the front side here, which is where the rest of the percentage is going to be. The small and medium panels you won't have to rotate near as much. It's just going to be mainly these big panels here. And panels themselves give you much more SCU compared to either a player ship or a random ship you find in like a salvage contract mission. So it's actually more efficient just to do this whole fighting them around the world compared to having to grab a bunch of salvage missions inside of your contracts, which is why we're doing panels instead for the most amount of money and the shortest amount of time span. Alright, so now that we're done with the panels, we should have a couple more inside the area here. Now this one is going to be a little bit smaller, so you're not actually going to have to do near as much rotating around to harvest everything. And it's also going to give you a little bit less SCU compared to the large panels that we just did. If you're having a hard time finding salvage panels, it's either best to swap to a different colony. For example, we're in HUR L1A at the moment. You could go to HUR L2A, MIC L1, MIC L2. They also have them in the crew area as well. So they have these asteroid belts all around the world. You don't have to be in one spot to find them. You will eventually get to a point to where you're not finding panels inside a spot and you will have to move. Especially if you're doing a multi-crew vulture adventure. However, it's best to have a ship with a cargo capacity to fill it up if you are in a multi-crew. Alright, so as soon as you see SCU 13 out of 13, you want to hold white and get out of your seat. Now this part is going to be a little bit of a trick that I learned. If you just walk backwards, you don't have to climb down the ladder, it'll just automatically drop you down here. And once you get over here, you're going to click auto eject, and then start ejecting. So you're gonna click 5 to pull out your multi-tool. Now this third row here that we're doing is not actually part of the cargo grid, so you're going to have to manually line it up. Use your scroll wheel to bring the items closer or further away from you. And then just line up as best as possible here. Technically, as long as it's in a cargo grid where it's snapping to the blue area, it's much safer and less likely to blow up your ship. However, as long as the boxes aren't like bouncing up and down, you should be good. I found that the boxes typically are relatively fine inside of a Vulture. However, loading up a ton inside of a cargo ship is where you really want to be sure it snaps into the cargo grid. That way you don't risk a very huge load. Alright, so we have our first 13 boxes. Now the good news is the Vulture actually has it, so you have a stairwell on the side of the driver's seat, which is why we're able to get back inside even though we blocked the door. Doing that, you do want to be sure that you have your helmet, and now we harvest another 13 SCU. When you're trying to beam a tool, you hold R and you just move your mouse to the right or left in order to rotate an object. Alright, so now that our hopper is full, it is time to unload the next 13. Be sure if you have to stop to get a drink that you put your helmet back on before you do anything too crazy outside the ship, or else you will die. Now, for anyone curious, this has all been filled up with the same 10,000 spot that we found the first time around. Alright, so if you click auto eject and just move out the way here, that'll allow you to stack the boxes without having any issues at all. Alright, so this next set's going to be a little finicky. We're actually going to stack it outside the ship for the time being. We're going to fill up this spot right here where we're standing. And then we'll get another 13 SCU and we will be good to go. So basically we want to print it, but we still want to have enough room to move around before we fill up this last row here. As you guys can see, you can fit 6 boxes on the left side here. And we're also going to get 2 additional on the front there. So this is actually the last time that we need to fully unload the hopper. So we're going to block in this back area here. So the easiest way to do that is just to click and drag the boxes and we'll snap the rest back there in a second. So now we can pick you up. And now all we have to do is fill up this last row here. Alright, so the back of that, you can actually go ahead and close up the ramp access. The rest of this is just a little bit bonus, but we can technically grab another 13. And we're just going to have to run back to the ship after we sell it. That's fine. So we keep it on Pierce 50% because that has the widest cone radius to be able to find these bigger nodes like this, which is why we typically want to have it on 50. You can play around with the different values to see if one works better for you. However, 50 seems to be a good general term to find the panels relatively quickly. 110,000 node gave us all the way 2/3 of the way there. So honestly, it doesn't take too long to fill up a Vulture, especially if you're by yourself. This takes about an hour to get a little over 400,000. Now, once again, you're not always going to get lucky and find a bunch of large panels like we did, so you're just going to have to play around, find a bunch of values here. Typically, it'll be 2,000, 6,000, 8,000, 10,000. Sometimes you'll get lucky and it'll be like a double spawn, so you'll get like a 20,000, in which case you'll find like a bunch of large panels. Once we get down to about 80, you want to just let off the throttle, sort of coast in here. Tap the W key every now and then, that way it refreshes your speed. You can also click C to turn coupled mode off. That way you're able to move a little bit further through space without having to tap the key. However, you do have to turn coupled back on if you're wanting to stop, because it is just going to continually move your ship. Now, technically, the way we stack the boxes, we could have a total haul of 40 boxes in total. 13 are going to be inside of the hopper. Technically, we have 26 in the back right now. If we really wanted to like pull one of the boxes out which is going to be like a whole ordeal and print like one more box. We do have space for one in the very back there, which would get us to 27 in the back, plus the 13 that we'll have inside our hopper, which we're going to have to run back through to reprint. So a total of 40 boxes is possible doing this method. Alright, so once you're satisfied with the amount of money you have, you want to open up your navigation by clicking F2. And you want to type in Orison. So first you want to cancel your routing if you have one, that way it doesn't bug out. We're 19 GM away. I typically find the Hurston relays a little bit easier to mine at, which is why I do that over the crew relays. However, there are asteroid belts right next to Crusader, the crew L1, crew L2. It's just more of a pick your poison kind of deal. I just find these more efficient and seems to be much faster to actually gather. Just a little bit more of a travel. Now, if you guys are new here, I do stream Star Citizen almost daily on the channel on both YouTube and Twitch, and I hope this tutorial helps you out. I'm trying to keep it as beginner player friendly as possible here, showing every single route possible in order to get through the different areas. And if you're new to the game, welcome to the community. I have a referral code down below. If you guys want to join in and use that code, that'd be amazing. So once you get to Orison, you're looking for this little spiderweb thing. This is going to be one of those cities that's a little finicky to where it's not going to pop up ATC hangar until you get like super close to it. So just fly towards the spider looking object and you'll be good to go. I would highly recommend picking Orison as your starter city. It seems to be the least laggy city out of all of the starter areas. However, a lot of people like Area 18 as it's mostly in the middle of the map. I will just avoid New Babbage at all costs because that is one of the more laggy cities and it's kind of confusing for a new player to like learn the map around that. The game might trick you into thinking you can quantum travel here, but if you did that, it'll just like reload you to the same spot, so don't even bother trying to do that. I will say if you have decoupled mode turned on to where it doesn't have the green highlight over the coupled, you are going to have a very hard time stopping, so you do need to turn this on before you crash into stuff. So once we get close enough to call ATC, we'll go and turn this on. And another very quick like emergency brake you can do is swap over to combat mode, even if you're not actually engaging combat inside the area. A lot of ships, it's like a emergency brake and it'll slam you down relatively quickly. Most ships you can go from like 1,000 all the way down to like 300 depending on how fast the ship is. Sometimes people have their ships hanging around the hangars, so if you click tab, you'll be able to see like this whole UL88 thing or whatever the ship identification name is.
Thank you, and please visit again.
For example, our hangar is right here. However, if you're having a hard time doing Alt-N to call ATC, if you scroll down on your comm radar here, you are able to just call them directly. If you don't have that panel, you just click the information icon and then it's under comms, and then you're looking for landing services. Now for a brand new... Now for the best money possible, it seems like salvaging is king right now. You're not going to be able to get the same profit through mining from what I've heard. So I would recommend your first ship being at least a Vulture. It's going to be a $2.6 billion purchase that you're going to get from Lorville. Or if you're on the free fly days, you'll get a Vulture for free. And basically, you're able to get money at a very fast rate. And you'll be able to afford a lot of the combat ships. So let's get inside your hangar. Make sure you deploy your landing gear. And since the back is blocked, we're not going to be able to do anything. So we'll land here. And good news is the extra 13 SCU that we gathered, we are able to use our multi-tool inside our hangar and rearrange it. The only bad side is to do that, you have to run all the way over to the place and sell first. So once you get to your hangar, you want to just come over to where it says Augustus Dunlow, take a left, get to the elevator. And head up to the spaceport. Alright, now that you're inside of Orison, you do want to go in and store your vehicle. That way nothing crazy happens. So as soon as you store it, everything is safe inside of the terminal and nothing crazy is going to happen to it. Alright, so now that we stored our ship inside the fleet manager, you want to just run directly forward here. There'll be like a little cool alien sign. This is where you can buy like the space whales, and you want to take a left down the stairs. You'll see where it says Skyway Transit. This is the correct way to go. You can also rent some ships here as well. Alright, so go through the door on the right, and just keep following where it says Skyway Transit. This is going to take you to a list of elevators here, so click F on any of them. And go to the shuttle station. Alright, so exiting the elevator, you want to take a right. Now you're going to notice there's going to be signs here. So we've got Providence platform on the left, and on the right side is going to say Cloud View Center. We're looking for Cloud View. And the top here, you're going to see a time for when the shuttle is going to arrive. So once we get on the shuttle, we are going to meet you back at Cloud View Center. Alright, so your shuttle's here. All you have to do is board it. Sometimes the glass panels might not show on the ground, but you're still able to board it. You might want to jump over it if that's the case though, just so you don't fall through the world. I haven't had that happen to me yet, however some people have said that that is an issue.
Please clear the hatch. Shuttle will be departing.
And sorry for the slightly longer video in this tutorial, however, I want to show everybody exactly where to go if they've never actually done this route at all before.
The shuttle is preparing to depart.
Alright, so once your shuttle gets here, you'll want to head up the stairs and immediately take a right. So notice you'll see a green circle building, take a right once again, and you're heading towards the building called Stratus. You'll notice that they have the TDD, which is the Trading Development Center Division, sign right above the door here. So open it up. And any of these terminals will work. If you're in a larger ship, you might have to do this several times in order to sell all of it. But you'll see select location. You'll have your Vulture as a drop down. This is where you click on it. So we're going to get 147.6k for 10. $221k for 15. And then we have a additional 13 inside of our ship that we have to run back to. Since I showed the route once, I'm just going to show you how to get back to the ship. So after you leave this area, go back through the little door here. And this time we are looking for a sign called Spaceport. So one directly across from the building. Take a left at the green circle. And then take a right immediately afterwards. You should see some signs saying that this is going to be taking you to the spaceport. As you guys can see right here. And our train is just missing. However, this is going to take us directly where we need to go. Alright, so once you get back to the terminal, you head back down to your ship. You notice we have 13 SCU boxes. Basically, you can just stack these anywhere since we don't really have that much that we're going to have to put everywhere. So in the next update, they're actually going to be fixing this issue. However, occasionally you won't be able to use your multi-tool inside your hangar, which means you are going to have to pull your ship out of the hangar and get outside of Orison's orbit, which is not the best thing in a slow ship. Sometimes clicking a bunch of buttons will refresh the tractor beam and allow it to start working. However, sometimes it doesn't work. Basically, we are going to have to fly out of the system to where it doesn't have the 0 with the slash through it. That's showing that we're in a armistice zone, which means no combat. So once we clear the orbits, we'll be able to move our boxes out. Get close enough to Seraphim, you are able to warp over here. And that's good. That's where you get out of the armistice zone and where you can actually unload your last 13 boxes. As you guys can see, the tractor beam now actually works. I will say usually the tractor beam does work though, so normally you don't have to exit the atmosphere to get it to work. All right, so we can sell another 5 for 118,000. And the last group for 73.77 thousand. Alright guys, that's going to be it for today. If you guys enjoyed this little tutorial, make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe, and be sure to follow more. And let me know if you guys want to see any other tutorials on the game.